On this episode of Hills Ablaze, I want to talk about the ongoing online argument about the current war in the Ukraine. On the 20th of February, Russia invaded Ukraine, and this was met by almost unanimous condemnation by the Western powers. And may I also say, more importantly, for the purposes of this video, the mainstream media. During the reporting of this war, I saw a piece of video footage that shocked me to my core. I'm going to show it to you here, but please be advised that it is very confronting, so trigger warning.
Алло. Слава Україні. Слава Україні.
Илюшин, смотри. Вон, видишь, Илюшин.
Слава Украине. Илюши больше нет. Он заболел и умер. Все. Нет Илюши. Он заблудился. Заблудился. Это была первая его ошибка. Вторая была, он заблудился в Украине. А третья, последняя, он сдох, сука. Алло. Че, у вас там нет уже отключили? Россияне. Че вы причмокаете губу, дама? Нет.
Да, я вижу. Что там, Александра видно? Нет, это ублюдок какой-то. Почему этот контур не показывает? Если он лгал. Покажи тела, Кристина.
Так от него осталась, блядь, одна жопа оторванная. На, что мне показывать? Телефон, слава богу, спасли, чтобы вас набрать и сказать, что этого полупокера уже нету, придурка ебаного.
Это у тебя вместо головы жопа, блядь.
Не, сейчас вот у вашего парня вот где-то плюс-минус, как вы говорите. Вместо головы у него жопа. А там, где жопа, там голова или что от нее осталось. Слава украинской артиллерии. Так а что его показать? Его собаки доедят, да и все.
Твою маму собаки доедят, мразь.
Доедят собаки, мы же даже их не хороним. Их хоронить, блядь, ну нет времени, потому что так ебашим полным ходом. Лежат куски, вот там нога, там голова, блядь. Телефон вывалило вместе с оторванным рукавом, блядь. Да и все, так и остался.
If it is not yet apparent, the soldier making the call is Ukrainian, and the mobile phone was taken from a recently deceased Russian soldier. The call is being made to his loved one. I didn't see this on any mainstream media outlet. It was from a pro-Russian Telegram account that I follow that one online friend was kind enough to share with me. For many people, their position is summed up in that enduring old nursery rhyme, sticks and stones. And if you're unduly affected by what people say to you, then you're a snowflake, scarcely worth taking seriously. But I'm not of that opinion. To me, words have the potential to cut and cause real damage, and I can't imagine a much greater act of cruelty than at a person's most acute moment of vulnerability, such as the loss of a loved one, to mock them, to jeer at them, to describe ecstatically in detail their loved one's mutilated body. For me, to indulge in such a callous act is beyond my understanding. The reporting that we find in the mainstream Western media usually consists of praise for the Ukrainian army, its achievements, and praise in particular for its commander-in-chief, President Volodymyr Zelensky. Their bravery, their valor in the face of difficult odds, as well as Russia's unreasonableness as the aggressor in this situation. Russia's justification for its attack rarely get a mention in the mainstream media. As to the act I've included in the beginning of this video, there is scarcely any mention. As to the brand of nationalism upheld by many Ukrainians, a brand of nationalism that far too often includes Nazi iconography, not a great deal of mention is made. And for online debate, and the Hills created, well, their most visible expression is in the profile pictures we see online. the flag filters, some for the Russian flag and some for the Ukrainian. That in itself is a kind of hill. The majority of the flags I've observed on social media have been in keeping with mainstream opinion. They've been Ukrainian flags in support of the Ukrainian armed forces, with some dissenting opinions in the form of Russian flags. So when I decided to make a video about this subject, I was quite surprised at the kind of hills which were created. And here are just a few to give you an idea. OP. Most people don't actually know or care about the complexities of things going on between Russia and Ukraine. It's simply the new form of virtue signaling to put a Ukrainian flag on your profile, like you're somehow helping. In 2020, it was BLM, now it's Ukraine. Tell me you just go along with whatever the mainstream media tells you without telling me you just go along with whatever mainstream media tells you. Well, it seems that if you're in the West, then support for Ukraine is the default position. And if you are supporting the Ukraine in the war, it's clear you didn't come to that conclusion through understanding of the complexities. But I'm going to say maybe this Hill poster is right, or maybe it's a case that he himself doesn't understand the complexities, and that is the lens he views events with. OP. Being contrarian over what the mainstream media is currently pushing, whether it's being terrified of COVID or support the fake DNC puppet state of Ukraine, has had a near 100% success rate for the past 6 years. You don't need to mindlessly oppose the current thing, like with COVID. There was a brief period where the media was treating it like nothing so they could fool more people by doing an about face. A lot of people on the right who should have known better were fooled by this. But if you are supporting it for any reason, you really need to check, double check, and triple check your facts and your reasoning. This hill is one thing. The media, the government say go right and you should definitely go left. An easy, foolproof method, it seems. Hill. The mainstream media is making some vague attempt to blame bad orange man for the Ukraine war, and it's hilarious. Maybe if Biden hadn't okayed Zelensky talking about hosting nuclear weapons, which he started doing 1 week before Putin invaded. Hill. The Ukraine conflict isn't the US's business, and US tax dollars shouldn't be used to flood in that country with more weapons. The US has zero moral high ground here. Hill. COVID really pulled back the veil and showed just how bad it is, seeing how quick the public's opinions would change despite the new information being obviously illogical or contradictory, was unsettling to say the least. They literally could be talked into anything, and we are seeing it again with Ukraine. I shudder to think what's next. This is a test, and we are failing miserably. Hill. People who genuinely side with Ukraine or Russia are either sheep or idiots. The correct opinion is giving a shit about their citizens, and the soldiers who don't want to fight for some greedy corporate bastards. Simping their leaders is idiotic. Both countries are shit. I suppose that means the correct opinion is apathy about international affairs. Hill. This is why they are driving your gas prices up in support of a fake country in a war that the Biden administration started themselves via talk of putting nuclear missiles in Ukraine. A fake country. OP is saying Ukraine is not even a real political entity. If I see a Ukraine flag on your profile page or voicing support for Ukraine, there's a 90% chance you got the jab, 50% chance you're gay, and 65% chance you're a woman. Damning words indeed. Hill. Ukraine should surrender and permanently ally itself with Russia. That's just the cost of living next to a superpower. I don't make the rules. Might is right. Why resist the inevitable? As I said, most people in the West support the Ukrainian army, but that's not reflected in the Hills that are being made online. The most vocal speakers online are contemptuous of what they consider a slavish devotion to the government and the media. To put it concisely, it's a vote of no confidence directed at the establishment. It started with the election of the non-politician Donald Trump and has been cultivated during the handling or mishandling of the COVID crisis. People are angry and most voice their dissatisfaction when they have the opportunity. And other people are more than just angry. They're angry and also quite organized. I would never advocate for someone to go against the majority for the pure purpose of going against the majority. And these arrogant notions, I'm such an individual thinker for doing so, are absurd. But speaking personally, I'm not happy with the way the media I've seen has dealt with this issue. From the popular media outlets I've viewed, haven't described in the slightest the Russian angle, just emotive descriptions of Putin as the monster in the Kremlin. Why can't we, as consumers of the news, have the facts be presented to us and be left to make up our own minds as to who the villain is? We're living in the post-Trump era, it seems, where the media considers itself the kingmakers and makes no apologies for it. Well, is it any wonder under such circumstances that some people feel they are being treated as children? In this Western world, anti-establishment opinions may well be the future, and conspiracy theories such as QAnon will only grow in popularity. But how far up does this pyramid of misinformation go? Selective, emotive, whether we follow them or whether we ignore them, how much of a role do conventional news sources have in this war of misinformation? Thank you for watching my video.